Thank you very much. Can I just say before I get started, a huge thank you to Peter and to everyone in the Benelux family, Forever family, for inviting me to be a part of your event today. It's a huge honor for me to be able to come and share my story with you. You might find it hard to believe, but the man you see stood here on stage today is half the person I used to be, at least in a physical sense. I grew up as a young boy living in the countryside. There was always an adventure to be had. I was active. I was at my happiest when I was playing sport. And as I grew up, I went on to represent my country at the Junior Rugby World Cup. And I took great pride on being fit. And yet, at the start of 2014, sorry, my slide's working. At the start of 2014, I was overweight, unfit, and unhappy about the way that I looked. After overindulging in a lifestyle that simply wasn't good enough for me, one day I simply said enough was enough. Now, for those of you who know my parents, I was lucky enough to be brought up in a family where I was taught the power of goal setting. So when I made my decision, I set myself a goal. And with that vision and goal, I created a visual image inside of my head as to how I wanted to look. Because you need to know where you're going in life in order to get there. I then created a detailed plan of action to go with that visual image. And then I set to work on achieving my goal. I knew that it would take time. And much like building a business, I knew that it would take hard work and commitment. But I also knew that with consistency and application would come results. 11 months later, I'd not only transformed my physique, but I changed my entire lifestyle in the process. Thank you. And I know right now there may be those of you sat in the audience thinking, well, that's great, but what's this got to do with me? Ladies and gentlemen, this isn't about the body, or maybe for my wife it is, but this is about the mindset that enabled me to achieve my goal. This is about the very same mindset that can enable you to achieve your goals, not only in life, but in building your forever business. Because I truly believe that with the right mindset, we can achieve anything we want in life. It can, and so often is, the difference between success and failure. Life and building a business is about finding those marginal gains, finding those little advantages to help you to success. And yet, how many of us stop and look within to find that marginal gain? Our mind can drive us to greatness, but at the same time, with the wrong mindset, it can destroy all of our hopes and dreams. But what is mindset? It's something we hear a lot about, especially in our industry. And for me, it breaks down into two areas, and that's positive mental attitude and mental strength. And the first of those, positive mental attitude, is, in my opinion, fairly easy. It's something we're all good at. We all watch motivational videos. We all listen to inspiring talks. We all read personal development books. And that's great in fostering a more positive state of mind. But that's not going to develop your mental strength. This is the second aspect, and it's a lot harder. And the reason it's hard is because it requires you to put yourself in situations whereby you must do battle with the voices in your head. And not only in a physical sense, but building a business sense. I know what it's like. You want to speak to someone about the business. You feel full of confidence. You go towards them to speak to them, and a little voice in your head says, don't do it. And you start battling these voices. And if you've got a weak mind, you'll let that voice that tells you not to do it win. If you have developed your mental strength, you'll be able to shut down that voice and listen to the voice that encourages you to get out of your comfort zone and to grow. For me, that voice is in a physical sense. It's when I'm training. It's when my body, every muscle in my body is screaming at me to stop. My lungs are full of lacking oxygen. My muscles are full of lactic acid. And yet all I can hear with perfect clarity is the little voice in my head that doesn't understand the words pain or quit. That voice has always existed in my head, as it does in every single one of your head. But it's only become the dominant voice that I've learned to engage with over recent years, because I put myself in situations whereby I'm forced to grow. We all have conversations with ourselves on a daily basis, and these are the most important conversations that go on, the ones that happen inside of our head. And I know from experience that when the going gets tough, when you start to doubt yourself, start to doubt the business, a little voice in your head says, quit now before it gets too hard, before people start judging you. And if you haven't developed your mental strength, you will do just that. You'll quit and stop before it does get too hard. Now, aside from the physical aspect and the mental side of what I did with my body transformation, there were two other areas that played a key role in everything, and that was nutrition and supplements. And I believe, first and foremost, that most of us, we can all get most of the nutrition we need from eating high-quality food. But the reality of the situation is, with food today, not all of us get the nutrition we need, and therefore we can all benefit from certain supplements in our diets. And call me biased, but there are none better than those that Forever offer. I've been using Forever's products now for, I think, 24 years, having first started drinking the gel and using the propolis cream for my eczema when I was 8 years old. But it was a new range of products that the company released that's had the biggest impact on my fitness and my health, and that was the Fit range. And whilst I used a wide variety of products alongside the Fit products during my transformation, there was one product out of all that stood out for me, and it still does in everything I do with my physical challenges, and that was the RG. I'm not going to lie to you, the nature of what I did with my physical transformation was hard. There was 4 or 5 tough, intense gym sessions every week. And I can't emphasize just how good the RG was in helping with that process. Not only did it help enhance my performance, it enabled me to train at a higher intensity for longer periods without feeling fatigued. It also helped increase my muscle mass and my strength. And when you're training like I did, one of the biggest parts of it is actually the recovery. You need to be able to recover so that next time you train, you can give 110%. And by using the RG, I've been able to increase my recovery rates as well. And that's just meant that every time I set foot in the gym, I could push myself to and beyond my physical and mental limits. And now, in everything I do, it enables me to perform at my optimal peak. But the story didn't end there, though. As much as my wife enjoyed how I looked with my top off, I knew there was more to life than just having a six-pack. As with your business, I realized I needed to have a goal after the goal. If you look at our marketing plan, it's built like that. You make it to supervisor, what's the next goal? Assistant manager. You make it to assistant manager, what's the next goal? You must have a goal after the goal to keep yourself moving forward. Because otherwise, when you reach your goal, you will stagnate, and you need to keep that momentum going. It's not always about the goal and the end destination either. It's about the person you have to become to reach that goal. When you first join your business, you first start with Forever. The person you must become to become a manager, a senior manager, a soaring manager, is vastly different to the person who starts their business. So you need to be prepared to work on yourself as well as your business. For me, it was a series of physical challenges that would start pushing me beyond my limits, that would force me to grow. And the emphasis of these challenges was very much on cycling and mountain climbing, even though I had limited experience in either up until about 18 months ago. And last year, a string of successes in various challenges led me to two main challenges for last year: climbing Mont Blanc and also taking on the Tour de Mont Blanc bike race. I arrived in France to climb Mont Blanc, knowing that I'd climbed higher mountains before, having previously conquered Mount Kilimanjaro, but also knowing that this was a much tougher climb. This was real mountaineering. This was me challenging myself to a new level. And if I'm completely honest, it was a challenge that almost defeated me. Climbing a particularly treacherous stretch of rock susceptible to avalanches, news came through that just 2 hours before, 2 climbers had fallen to their death. This was enough to start the voices in my head, to start questioning why I was here. I had a pregnant wife at home. I was risking everything for the sake of climbing another mountain. And if I hadn't mastered my mindset, if I hadn't mastered the art of self-conversation, I may have called it quit. But I focused on the one thing that I knew I could do, and that was to climb and ultimately reach the summit of Mont Blanc. A feeling that I will never forget, and of course I fueled myself the whole way with RG and mental strength. And that left one last challenge for last year. And that was the Tour de Mont Blanc, the world's toughest one-day bike event. 6 months after taking up cycling, I was to take on a race that was 330 kilometers with 8,000 meters of vertical ascent. And to put that into some kind of perspective, that's the equivalent of cycling up Mount Everest. It was through 3 countries and it was over 1 day. And this is the story of what happened. At least it should be. I'm here in France to ride the Tour de Mont Blanc, which is billed as the world's toughest one-day bike event. And ever since I was a teenager, I'd always had this dream of cycling up Alpe d'Huez. Being very competitive, very driven and goal-orientated, I was like, if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability and set your goals high, higher than you might think you can achieve. I have to do this. I have to take this challenge on. It's the Tour de Mont Blanc, and the very first thing it said was world's toughest one-day bike event. If you truly believe something and you're prepared to do the work to achieve the goal, then anything is possible. A lot of this comes down to mental strength. There's going to be times on this ride tomorrow where it's going to be some dark places in my mind. It's going to be 16, 17 hours maybe on the bike. My motivation is I want to see how far I can push myself. I want to see what I can achieve. I don't think many of us really live to our full potential in life. Sometimes we need to take ourselves out of the comfort zone to really flourish and grow as individuals. Waking up in the morning, there was a lot of nerves and anxiety just to get up there and get started. You know, so much build-up and got into it. I just wanted to get cycling. We got up there and everyone's there with their headlights on. It's just amazing to finally be on the start line. Once we got out of Chamonix and started getting into new territory, you think, okay, yeah, this is not too bad, enjoying this, get into a rhythm. And then got to the big climbs and they were just brutal. I've never, ever been on anything like it before. I mean, even the so-called smaller climbs were 15, 16 kilometres at 8, 9, up to 10% in places. You get round a switchback and you think, oh, it might be a bit of respite here, and the road just ramps up again. The tough one was the Grand St Bernard, which is 30 kilometres of non-stop climbing. And then you come out of the tunnel and you think, right, I'm almost there now, I've got 7k to go, and the road just goes up. It takes a lot of willpower and the right mindset to keep pushing on and go, okay, I've got to break this down again now and realise that there's more to come. I got to the next feed station, about 215 kilometres. I knew there was a bit of pressure on to make the final cut-off at the next time check.
and I knew I had to absolutely push it to get to the top and down the other side. I rode Petit Saint Bernard at my absolute limit for 23k, so I just kept going for it, blocked out the pain and just thought, this is it, it's now or never. If you've got anything, you've got to give it now. Had a couple of minutes to regroup, get some food in, and then did the descent down that 32-kilometre descent. I was shaking on the bike. There was a howling wind, which just meant that where I could have been freewheeling in places, I was having to pedal down a pretty steep downhill. Got to the time check, I'd missed the official cut-off time. The guys I was riding with, the team, had a chat to me. The decision was made for me that as much as I wanted to continue and my mind said I've got to keep going, that my body just simply couldn't do it. I knew that there was another uncategorised climb to come. I've got to at least get back on the bike and try and see if I can get up this next climb. My legs just couldn't do it, so I turned around and freewheeled back with tears welling up and realising that it wasn't going to be. And at the time my thought was, I failed. And in retrospect, looking back, there's two things. One is, if you give your absolute everything in life or in a challenge, and you lay it all on the line and you can honestly look at yourself in the mirror and say, I gave 110%, and you've left nothing out there, I don't think it's a failure. There was times when it was tough earlier in the day when I could have just pulled over and said, yeah, that's me done. I gave it my all and I fell short, and there's no shame in that. And I think the second thing was I had a goal and I desperately wanted to achieve it. You can learn lessons from it and come back stronger from it. I mean, they often say that, it's through our failures or that we learn the most. Sometimes it's easier said than done to be positive all the time, but if you can keep working at that mindset and fostering a positive belief, it becomes easier. It's like anything. It's important for people to understand that the human mind's powerful and that you can achieve anything you want. It might not be first time, but you will get there.
Thank you. It was Ralph Waldo Emerson that said, our greatest glory is not in never failing, but rising up every time that we do fail. That one defeat taught me more than all of my successes combined. I've come to realize that every single one of us has the potential for greatness. And yet the sad reality is an overexposure to negativity, other people's negative thoughts, we kill that belief before it does have a chance to reach its full potential. I've become a new dad recently, and it's made me realize the power of our words and how our beliefs or limiting beliefs can be passed on to our children. Children learn through a process of trial and error, and so should we as adults. And yet we let the limiting beliefs of other people tell us, no, we can't do something. Who are we to steal the dreams of other people? With as much negativity as there in the world, should we not be looking to lift each other up? We should become a world of cheerleaders, supporting each other. We need to still in confidence and belief in ourselves and in other people. When you're working with new FBOs, you need to sit with them and make them realize that they can achieve anything they want with this business. And furthermore, you will give them your full support. It's your duty to be the best you possibly be so they can be the best they can possibly be. Because when you sit down with someone, you don't know where they're going to go on their journey. If you look at the great leaders within this company, they all started as a new FBO once upon a time. But somebody showed belief in them. Somebody showed faith in them and taught them how to do this business. How do you know that the person you're sat with is not the next diamond manager? The only way you will know is by being the best you can be to enable them to be the best they can be. And I think it's important on that note to also remember that in Forever, everyone's journey is individual. And I've seen this myself within my team, within other people. People compare themselves to others. Life is not about what other people are doing. Life and your business is about being the best possible version that you can be. And that's all that matters, being the best that you can be. I'd like to ask you all a question, and you don't have to put your hands up and things, but answer this to yourself honestly. How many of you have a plan? And I don't mean about what you're going to do tonight or tomorrow when you leave here, but I mean for your business and for your life. Because that's exactly what this is. This is your business. This is your life. In my last year at school, I had the honor of representing my country at a Junior Rugby World Cup. And but for injury, I may have gone on to achieve greater things within the sport. And you might be thinking, well, great, but why are you telling me this? And it's because in that time that I did play a high level of sport, I learned a valuable lesson. We always had a plan of action. The team that I played in, as every other sports team, we had a plan of action. We knew exactly what it was that we wanted to do when we set foot on that pitch. We knew how we would do it. We'd practiced it. And furthermore, we had backup plans for when things didn't quite go to plan A. And yet, in the biggest game of all, the game of life, how many of you have a vague idea of where you want to go? Where do you want to be in 6 months' time? Where do you want to be in 1 year's time? Where do you want to be in 5 years' time? Because in 5 years' time, you will arrive. But will you be 5 years richer for life's experiences? Will you be 5 years further along and towards achieving your goals? Or will you just be 5 years older? If you don't have a plan, now's the time to change it. It's never too late to put a plan in place to change the rest of your life. Because without a plan, ladies and gentlemen, you'll never reach your full potential. Not just in your life, but in your business. It's that whole process of plan, do, review. We learn, we grow, we do activity, we learn from our mistakes, we learn from the good things, we adopt the good, we move on and we grow and we're better for it. Working towards being the best possible people we can be. You know, the decisions you make today will have an impact on tomorrow, will have an impact on next week, next month, and the rest of your life. Life doesn't happen by accident. Life happens by design. And here's the good news. Every single one of you can design the rest of your life exactly how you want it. Just think about that a moment. Picture what it is that you want in life, your dream life, and realize that you can take that opportunity and live that dream life. Or you could decide to do nothing and drift through an ocean of missed opportunities, always regretting what might have been. Don't look back on life thinking, what if? Don't regret not doing something. Go out there and live your life. Life's too short and time's too precious to leave things to chance. It's time to awaken the true potential inside of you. It's time to live the life of your dreams. And I know that there'll be some of you sat here right now who are saying, I can't do that. And there'll be a multitude of reasons and excuses that you're already formulating as to why you can't do it. But I say, why not you, and why not now? Are you not the same as the person who's already living their dream life? Do you not have the same freedom of choice as the person sat next to you? I always find it interesting that in life, humans are the only people in nature who don't reach their full potential naturally. And that's because we have the freedom of choice. You know, if you look at nature, if you look at a baby lamb, a lamb is born. A lamb doesn't just one day say, do you know what, I'm going to stop growing, I can't be bothered with this, I don't want to be a sheep. And that's because everything in nature will grow naturally to its full potential. We too have the ability to grow and to develop on a daily basis and reach our full potential. But the reality of the situation is that it's easier not to. And I just think that's an incredible waste. You have the chance with this business to go on to incredible things. And yet some of us waste that opportunity because it takes a bit of hard work. But I tell you what's a lot harder is working 40 years for a job where by the end of it you have nothing to show for it. Now's the time to build something for yourself, to build your future, to build your family's future, to have security in everything that you're doing, to have peace of mind, to be able to leave a legacy to your children. Do you know how much that means to me as a new dad, to know that one day my little boy is going to have everything he needs in life? Yes, I'll teach him he must work as well, but to know that you can leave this world and you don't have to worry about your family is an incredible honor, and we should not throw this away easily. We all can achieve greatness, and you can all achieve it starting right now. It takes 1 second to change your life, the exact same time it takes to make a committed decision to make a change. The decision to learn a new skill, maybe for me coming here speaking English, learning a new language. The decision to achieve chairman's bonus, to become a diamond manager, to achieve a goal that maybe you thought was out of your reach up until now. Nothing in life is out of your reach unless you don't stretch for it. And there will be other people along your journey who tell you that you can't do it. Their limiting beliefs, their negativity. They'll think you're weird. They'll think you're odd. They'll tell you everything they can to stop you doing it, because your success will highlight their lack of success. And to those people, I say, don't judge me based on your limiting beliefs. Don't tell me what I can and can't do because of your lack of skill. In life, so many people shrink their dreams and goals to match their situation because their job says this is what I can do. My situation says I can't live a bigger life than this. But what about thinking, what if I expanded my skill set? What if I became a better person? Then what sort of life could I live? Then sort of what a business could I grow? We've become learned in the art of believing that we can't achieve certain things. But it's never too late to unlearn those old behaviors and to learn new behaviors. Behaviors that empower us, behaviors that enable us to grow, behaviors that lift us up in a world where so many are downtrodden. And to give belief that to give belief that you can achieve anything that you set your mind to. And therein lies the key, ladies and gentlemen, your mind and your mental state. With everything I've gone on to achieve over the last few years, it's made me realize one thing, and that is that the human mind is a truly powerful thing, yet only when we use it to its full potential. Just like any other muscle in the human body, it needs training on a regular basis. Otherwise it becomes weak and it shrinks. It's the old use it or lose it adage. Whatever we don't use, we eventually lose. And we're a result of our past decisions in life. Every decision that you have made previously has led you to be in this room today. But that doesn't mean your past decisions have to dictate your future. See, when you make a decision, you might not see the immediate impact straight away or where it's going to lead you into life. But if you don't make that decision, you will never know what life could have been like. And when I made that decision at the start of 2014 to get into shape, that's all I did was made one goal. I could never have imagined that 2.5 years later I'd be stood here in this room sharing my story with so many people. But I also know that if I hadn't made that decision, I wouldn't be stood here today. It's time to change your beliefs, what you can and can't achieve in life. It's about creating a mentality of saying, I can and I will achieve everything I want. Putting your mind to it and saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes every single day to reach the top, and I'm not going to stop until I get there. And ultimately, it doesn't matter what I think about your abilities. It doesn't matter what your friends think about your abilities, or even your family. The only thing that matters is the belief that you have in yourself. And if you have true self-belief in everything you can achieve, you will achieve greatness in your own right. So I'd like to ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. Who's with me? Who's ready to leave here today and conquer their own mountains in life? Who's ready to go all in and do whatever it takes? Thank you. No, sorry. Who's ready to do whatever it takes every single day until they succeed at achieving their goals? I don't know everything, far from it, but I do know this. The time is now, ladies and gentlemen, and what's more, the time is yours. Use it wisely and never quit on yourself. Thank you very much. Thank you.